G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 172, and of course we have a lot to talk about today. The Sydney Swans and their win against North Melbourne last week after a horror week in the media. Of course, Port Adelaide in their season with Zach Butters announcing that he wants to leave the club. We're also going to be taking a look at the Bombers and their new coach, the Tigers and the media outrage around them. Of course, the preview to Wildcard weekend, and of course, the final recap of AFL Fantasy for 2026. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it.
Welcome to the Boundary Riders podcast, your one-stop shop for all your AFL content needs.
He looks at his options, and Jack Ginnivan says, boys, you brought me to the club to do justice!
But this guy has flog written all over him.
From attack down, Reed sprints away from Petrarca, leaves him in his wake, takes a second bounce, takes a third. The sheer arrogance of Harley Reid. Finish the job, young man!
So let's get into the footy news from the week that was.
So guys, as always, my brother is here with me. Now, just before we get into introducing and all that sort of garbage, we did miss last week, of course, with the news and all the information regarding the Sydney Swans allegations, of course. The only the only main thing that I will say here is no charges have been laid, no real updates have been made in the last few days. I will be putting out a video essay tomorrow regarding pretty much all the information that we've heard so far regarding all of that. So that's probably all we'll mention about that in this episode of the podcast, and is why we kind of missed last week. We actually recorded a podcast, but a lot of the information that we did talk about in that podcast episode kind of, so much more got added on in the space of a few hours that we just thought there's not really any point in that putting this podcast out for now. So we decided to just leave it there. We won't put that one out, and we're going to start anew this week. So Port Adelaide season's all over, and Zach Butters wants to leave.
Damn. Big shock.
Yeah.
I think it was just, it was inevitable that he was going, and, it would have been nice to have a farewell game to finally injure him before we send him off to somewhere else, but,
you think Port Adelaide players would have tackled him a few times, trying and see if...
I think, Will Brodie would have came into the team this week, and I thought, he may have went into a contest and accidentally, concussed him really badly, or caved his head in accidentally.
Yeah,
maybe.
That was the reason why they brought him in.
But the season as a whole for Port Adelaide, where bottom four, best, better than we probably performed, and because the fact is that we had so many injuries. But we're playing for future, really.
Yeah,
we're playing for more draft picks and stuff like that at the moment, which I'm very excited to see what Josh Carr has got a chance of doing for most of this, to really have the reins for the full season.
Yeah.
And have he's had a good look at the whole team, and he's already made a few changes already. But
yeah, so we've already heard today actually that Jackson Mead has been delisted as well,
and Will Lorenz as well has been cut as well.
That kind of surprises me.
Yeah, there's rumours I think that he will be picked up, Lorenz.
Yeah,
but it'll be interesting that Jackson Mead, because he has always been obviously South Australian with his father-son pick up.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if he wants to continue his AFL career, he's going to probably do that elsewhere. I don't really think the Crows are going to go pick him up. I remember at the start of the season, both of us kind of said Port Adelaide have to make it to Wildcard weekend because of their draw. Was the main reason with the injuries and stuff. Would you give Port Adelaide a pass mark for this year?
I'd probably say more a D plus C minus. I wouldn't say it's a full pass, because the fact is that we are in the bottom four.
Yep.
But you can see the different game style that defensively how Josh Carr wants to play. I think if we had our other our core players, Rosie, Sam Pepper, what was some other ones?
I mean, Butters missed quite a few games.
Butters missed, I think, earlier in the year than late in the season.
Radicalier missed a few games.
That's not a big loss. That's not a big loss.
Okay.
It's just I think if we had some of those core players most of the season, it would have been a bit different against those the double up teams that we had, which was what made our season a lot easier.
I think something as well for Port Adelaide is the fact that at the start of the season, if they got a couple of those close games as wins, maybe their season could look different in the second half of the year. You get momentum. We've seen teams this year who have momentum, really skyrocket up the ladder.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that Port Adelaide definitely missed out on. And we saw Carlton, of course, they gathered momentum, and if Port Adelaide had that early, maybe they could have, finished closer to a wildcard spot. But yeah, unfortunately, probably wasn't the greatest year. But I do think that Port Adelaide, they've got a very bright future. They've got a couple of players that they're going to be picking out of academy and father sons in the next handful of years. This season, they'll get Dougie Cochran, and they could potentially have another pick if Zach Butters decides to go to the Tigers. So they could potentially have 2 picks inside the top 5.
Yeah.
Which, would be massive for Port Adelaide. That's obviously Port Adelaide's best case scenario if he decides to go to the Tigers. Looks like at the moment, Zach Butters has 9-year deals from all the Bulldogs, Richmond and Geelong in front of him. He has rejected Collingwood, which is, great.
Which is, that was like the team when I saw that, it was like, one team's been ruled out. I was like, please let it be Collingwood. And when I read it, I was like, that's just satisfying a bit. That's just a little satisfying.
Well, it looks like at the moment the Bulldogs have fallen into 3rd seed.
I don't know.
The Tigers and the Cats are the top seed to get him.
Yeah, I think it's so you're basically looking at it. It's like, does he want quick success or does he want money? Straight up, that's what he's looking at the moment. So he's just asking the same question we seem to ask every single year, every couple of months. How the hell do they are they going to be able to get him and Toby Green, as they mentioned, and maybe some other players that this Geelong team get?
Oh, it'd be unbelievable if they're able to get them as well. I'd be checking their books immediately.
Yeah.
They should be checking their books and auditing them. It was only last year as well that they got audited, and I think they had a bunch of issues. I think they got fined like over $70,000 or something. I don't know if that's 100%. I can't remember exactly what the fine was, but they got fined for issues with their salary cap and player payments, and they could just be very well be like, oh, who gives a fuck, 70 grand, who gives a fuck if we're going back in the finals every year. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if they can lock down Toby Green, who I think they're meeting with sometime this week.
Yeah.
So overall in Port Adelaide, though, you think it wasn't a great year, but there's some signs.
Yeah. So yeah, the other player that was very good this season, which was Corey Durden, which was something that Port Adelaide fans were not expecting. He kicked the most goals he's ever kicked in his career by a lot. Yeah. And so you had to see the brighter spots for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I think a lot of their players that have brought in the last few years have actually performed quite well. Like even Joe Richards, who came in the last few years, he was like one of the. I think he'll finish very high in the BNF this year, probably top 5.
If he didn't get I think it was a broken finger, wasn't it?
Yeah,
late
it was
in the season. Yeah,
round 18 or something.
He came off one of his best games of the season, and in that same game he broke his finger. And it's like that was I think it was with 4 or 5 weeks left in the season. I think with that was he was a very big player, and it seems like at the moment we keep going back to this trade, but it seems like Port and Gold Coast are winning that trade by a landslide at the moment.
Yeah, well, there's also talk as well that Dan Houston could potentially be looking to move to a different club next year, which that would be crazy. There's no way he leaves Collingwood, does he?
I think it would be hilarious if he left.
Yeah.
It would be.
They wouldn't be getting what they got from Port. Even back then we say Port Adelaide kind of gave away got an end of first round pick for him.
I don't. He's probably worth a second at the moment.
Yeah, they're Port Adelaide were like everyone was saying they're bagging Port Adelaide saying you basically just got pick 17 or something for him when he's a 2-time All Australian, and now you're looking at it like pick 17 looked pretty good.
Yeah, it looks about pretty right about now.
Yeah, because he wouldn't be going. He'd probably go for a first rounder, but a late first rounder. I don't think he's gone any higher than that. He's older now. He hasn't played that good of footy the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to see how that plays out. Now, we did mention the stuff around the Sydney Swans earlier in the episode. We're just gonna talk about football regarding the Sydney Swans. And did you think the Swans had a chance of winning on Sunday?
Yes, I tipped it.
You tipped the Swans to win?
I thought that. For one thing, I just don't trust North Melbourne. I never have and I never will. But I thought that at the end, you got rid of the 5 players. You're bringing 5 other players in that have played. It wasn't like their first games or anything. They know a bit of the system and they have shown signs. And if your whole game plan is based on 5 players, you're not going to win anything. But
also they are. If you, you've seen with just Port Adelaide this year. You take the top 5 top liners of your team out of the lineup, and you don't look good.
But I think also the fact is that with such a unknown, or not unknown, but there's such a shocking thing that's happened that all these other players have had to deal with all week, having to have reporters in front of them. You know, these players that have went to Sydney have tried to get out of this, you know, the footy bubble, and this whole week has been them being plastered everywhere and being reported on for everything for everything. They had to come together, like the whole AFL and AFLW players coming together, and you just for 3 hours, it was what the Swans players had to do on the field and do what they've done all season, and they showed that, and it was one of their best performances that maybe they've had in a long time.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I would say it's one of the best performances of the second half of the year.
With their backs against the wall, with them being so scrutinised all week, and all the leaders being fronting media and stuff like that. They've had they had no control of what's happened, and they've been thrown in the fire. Which
I mean, did you think Sydney would win so comprehensively?
No. I thought that North Melbourne would show some sort of fight.
Did you see any of the game?
No, but I didn't have to. I knew that, after about what is it? The second quarter, you put on 9 goals, or you?
I think it was 6 goals in a row.
Yeah.
In the second quarter,
Yeah.
the first 10 minutes kind of blew the game open. Like, honestly, my thoughts were that was a Swans cultural performance, and it's something to build back the trust to the members and the fans that they would have lost throughout the early parts of Monday after the game against Essendon. It built back a lot of trust with the team to say that we are more than just a couple of individuals.
Yeah.
And I think I almost think to an extent that's kind of been lost in recent times with the Swans. It's very much been the individuals that are ruling the majority. I think it's been a little bit more individualized from the outside looking in. Maybe the arrogance, the cockiness, I don't know what it is. And I think that this has kind of shone a light on the club as a whole to, this culture that we've built over the last 20 years is not built off individualism. It's built off a team mentality.
Yeah.
AFL, AFLW, whatever it may be, the whole club has built that together. And I think it's been lost in recent years. And I think that that's something that has kind of I think Callum Mills, I've questioned his captaincy at times. I think that he's been way too injured to be the captain. But this week, especially, I think it almost just said he's the captain of the Sydney Swans.
Yeah.
He is the Sydney Swans leader. And I think both him and Dean Cox presented themselves brilliantly over the last week or so. And it made me sort of proud to be a Swans fan. Like, not obviously the stuff that happened earlier in the week, but over the last 3 or 4 days, the Sunday, the Monday, the Tuesday, that's the Swans team that I grew up supporting. These are the guys that, are the role models, and the players that, messed up and God knows what else they've done. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Those aren't what the Swans values are.
Yeah.
And do you think they have a chance of going all the way?
I'm not. Yeah. I'd like to see it next week and see if they can sort of back it up against, which I believe is the premiership favourites at the moment. Again, next week. But
So you've dropped Fremantle off now.
I never dropped off. I never believed that Brisbane were second favourite. I've always said that Brisbane are favourites. But I think you'd have to. I think you'd have to beat Brisbane in this first final to get a bit more recognition that you guys can do it from where you are, from what you've got. I still think you can do it. I still think you can because everyone's wrote you off. But
I personally think the Swans are going to go out in straight sets. I think that's personally what's going to happen.
Well, you'll play them, you play Brisbane, and then you play the winner of
Crows
the...
and
No.
whoever they play. Yeah, Crows and whoever they play, because they're 6 and 7.
Oh, you finished second. Yeah, so 6 and 7. So you'd play either... Or fucking 6, whatever. Yeah.
So they play Crows and whoever the Crows play, which will be either...
Melbourne Bulldogs or Collingwood.
Yeah, Melbourne Bulldogs or Collingwood. So, I honestly think the Swans are going to go out in straight sets. I just think this is... You have to have the perfect laneway to win a premiership. And unfortunately, I just don't think that they've got it. And unfortunately, yes, I did say a minute ago that I think they have been too individualised and too... star-studded, they haven't had the core underbelly that they need of role players. But when you don't have your 3 of your best 5 players in your team, I can't see them doing it.
Yeah.
But it would be absolutely amazing if the Swans could do it from here. It would shock the world. It would give kind of a middle finger to the players who fucked around
Yeah.
and kind of say, we're more than just these couple of individuals.
Yeah.
That we can do it.
And it would say to everybody in the AFL that this is a team, that we are a team. We may have lost some individuals that we don't, that don't go with our values, but we have a core team here that just show that we can do it.
Yeah.
But I thought what was more impressive was actually the VFL performance you guys did on the weekend which I think you guys had 17 academy kids from what you guys had, and so all your teams won this week, didn't they? So
yeah, it was impressive from all lines of the Swans.
Yeah, AFLW and AFL men's team as well did very well.
Yeah.
So that's the it was a whole week of basically in the flames of one of the most biggest scandals, and yet all your teams came together and did what they did
convincingly as well in all their games. But again, like you said, they all have to back it up again this week or next week because, obviously you can go with emotions from last week. That's kind of what built them up, but they have to do it again.
Yeah.
And again and again. Basically now. But yeah, overall it made me quite impressed and quite happy that the Swans could still back it up. And yeah, I still think it's going to be tough from here. It obviously is going to be tough, and I just can't see a world where the Swans can go 3 wins in a row.
Yeah.
To go all the way to the flag, but it would be amazing. All right, let's move on. So Essendon have announced their new coach in Mark McVeigh. Right, Mark McVeigh. Sorry, I was going to say Jared McVeigh for a minute, but Mark McVeigh. Both of them at the Swans anyway. So, do you think they made the right decision here?
I think they made a better decision than what they were than what everyone was hoping to do. But I think they went with the right man with with what he's done previously in different coaching roles.
If they had to go with the next Essendon player, I think they made the right choice.
Yes, yeah. Which I think everybody says that they still technically went with an Essendon person, so
there you go. You're happy now, but
yeah.
no. But
I
still can't see why Essendon people are so adamant that they should have gone with James Hird. Look. Let's say Mark McVeigh does bad. Let's say he does. James Hird, if he wants to be a coach, go be an assistant for the next 2 or 3 years and then come back.
Exactly.
I would be I would be a lot more on board with it if he's actually been coaching at some level in the AFL over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything. He's done a part-time coaching role. We've said this multiple times in the last 10 weeks. He's done part-time role in the VFL for the Giants, and he's been in the media for the rest of the time. He's done nothing AFL related for a full-time role for 13 years.
Yeah.
And yet all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, he can take over one of the biggest clubs in the country as the head coach, just to basically, galvanise them as a club. What happens if they go down lower?
Yeah, and that's what everyone besides Essendon were hoping, Essendon people. That would have just been a dumpster fire, I reckon. Yeah. But I think that he's Mark McVeigh. He's developed kids. He's went with the Allies before. He's got them to championships. He's done the apprenticeship in a way, so he knows different things. He's only just recently, obviously, he's just been at the Swans for the last 4 years. He knows different things. He knows game styles. He knows how the game's played these days, and that's what they need. They don't need a person who hasn't worked in an AFL club for 13 years.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who you are. Being, as I think I said last time we talked about this, is that you have to be in the AFL clubs to know styles, to know different things, to how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be doing the full-time job.
Yeah.
It's like sending Kane Corns to go do a coaching job at an AFL club, like a head coaching role in an AFL club. But even less than that, because at least he's been somewhat in the AFL space, even though it's been in the media for multiple years now. He's been there for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. Now Kane Corns. James Hird's been in the media for 2 years, and before that he may have had a little part-time role at the Giants. He's done literally nothing AFL related since then.
Yeah.
Between when he got sacked from Essendon and then coming back into the media or whatever. I think it would have been an absolutely atrocious decision for them to pick James Hird. Honestly, I would like to know why Essendon fans are so up in arms about it because or like get upset about it because the main thing that I see from people getting angry about James Hird is like, oh, I don't really see any issue. I was like, oh, they should have picked Hirdy. Why haven't they picked Hirdy for? Why have they picked this guy? I can't believe they didn't pick James Hird. It's like, why did you want him so bad?
Yeah.
Just because he coached you to what? A final series back when he was there, but you lost again. I don't know. Anyway, now I did want to bring up the Richmond stuff because I think this is ridiculous. But of course, if you don't know, the Tigers' season has ended. They finished in 17th, just in front of Essendon by 1 win.
Yeah,
they had a worse year than they did last year, and of course, because the season's over, they had a Mad Monday. Someone took video footage of them at a hotel bar somewhere in Victoria. I think it was in like country Victoria or close by, called the Garfield Hotel. I'm shouting them out because they seem like good people, but we'll talk about that in a minute. They were in the back or the yard area or something in the back outside, and a bunch of the players were seen mimicking whipping of some sort and fucking around, looking like they were a bit drunk or whatever. And not all the media, but some parts of the media have called this out and have said that this is them imitating what's happened in the hotel room with the Sydney Swans and making light of it. We don't even know yet what's happened in that room. So how could have those players been imitating something that they don't know what's happened? That's one thing. 2, it's the end of their season. Let them fucking do what they want. Like, as long as they're not hurting anyone, which they weren't.
Yeah. They're letting their hair down. They're having their Christmas party. Their Christmas party.
It's one of the most intense jobs in the country. Yes, they get paid a lot to do it, but it's also one of the most intense jobs in the country. Let them fucking put their hair down for a couple of months before they have to go back to training again.
Yeah.
This is one of the most... And there are a few parts of the media that are saying this is outrageous that we're even giving a shit, that we're even putting a light on this, which is good. I think that's great. That people in the media should be calling out other people in the media to say, this is bullshit. Who cares? This is not a story.
Yeah.
And then there's other parts of the media going, oh, this is just poor timing. It's like, this has got nothing to do with the Sydney Swans stuff at all. Just because they're both teams in the AFL does not mean anything whatsoever. They were fucking around, having some fun after a long season. They weren't doing drugs that we can tell. They weren't doing anything illegal like the Sydney Swans allegedly have done. They've literally were just sitting there having a laugh and fucking around.
Yeah. As any, as with a young side, most of them are coming off their first year. They want to, they're partying and having time to themselves as much as with a bunch of guys when they don't get to, letting their hair down and having a bit of fun.
Exactly, and they should be allowed to.
And why we do this every time? We do this every year. We crucify certain teams that are finished lower on the ladder.
They dressed up, or they did this and that. Yeah, Kane Corns is great for that.
Yeah, it's like they finished on the bottom of the ladder. It's like, so they can't have a bit of fun because they finished the year?
Yeah.
Come on.
Who cares? This is not a story. Who gives a fuck? Now, the Garfield Hotel released a statement the day after the news happened, and good on these guys.
Yeah.
I wish I was close by. I would honestly go down there and get a drink and fucking show my support because these guys are fucking legends. So they released a statement, which is fucking
I thought it was lovely.
So the Garfield Hotel released a statement from the ownership group. They said, we hosted the Richmond Football Club at our venue today, and we cannot speak more highly of the way they conducted themselves. For such a young group, they were extremely respectful and a fun group of boys to deal with. They enjoyed a few quiet beers to unwind after a long season, and we see nothing wrong with that. They had booked out the venue for the afternoon, so they were the only patrons on site. They enjoyed their afternoon and moved on. In our view, this has been blown out of proportion. 2 members of the media were waiting on their arrival this morning and remained on site filming in hope of capturing a misstep, which we consider disappointing. Great. That's really good for them to call out the media.
Yeah, I just love that little clip to the media.
Up yours, you wankers.
Yeah.
And then this obviously came out, and then this is what disappointed me. Richmond came out with a statement which said, Richmond are aware of a video circulating from a player end of season gathering. The club has spoken to the players involved who have expressed their embarrassment over their behaviour. The players are adamant they were in no way referring or making light of recent matters, of course, referring to the Sydney Swan stuff. What are you doing, Richmond? You've got the whole public behind you. You've got the hotel itself behind you.
And you've just basically said,
And you've basically just thrown your players under the bus and said, you've thrown out this stupid statement. This is so crap from them. Like, literally, you've got everyone involved bar 6 people in the media or something, like less than a handful that are having a whinge. And some people like online that are going, oh my God, I can't believe they're referring to the Sydney Swan stuff. They're not.
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell you right now, they're fucking not.
Most people were like respecting what the hotel came out and said. It's like they were respectful. They did what they did, and then it's like Richmond came out and like, oh no, maybe they did do something wrong, but.
The people who were literally at the hotel said that they were the ones who were in there and watching them at the
and you're gonna tell me, like, if it was me and I was just saw a whole bunch of footy players walking in, I'd keep an eye on them, because you're kind of seeing maybe some favorite players and shit like that. So you keep an eye on what they're doing. You'd be interacting with them.
It's also their bar, so they don't want anything to fuck.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to tell me if they were actually fucking around or doing something stupid, you in an establishment, something would come out of something. You're not going to sit. It's not going to come out from the 2 dickheads out hiding in the bushes from the media.
Yeah, the media people going there hounding them, just saying, "Oh, can we catch something? They've done something wrong. Are they going to catch something? Oh my God, we saw them." Potentially, maybe whipping each other. We don't really know because the fence line kind of blocked it. That's what we're going to go with anyway.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I think this is absolutely ridiculous and such a blown out story. Well done on the Garfield Hotel. Shout out to them. Those guys are fucking legends. I can't remember where they are. I'm actually going to look this up right now. But good on them for releasing a statement because they didn't have to do anything. They really just said nothing.
Yeah.
But they came out, stood up for the club, and then the fucking club themselves are just like, we're actually really sorry for what's happened. So we're actually going to just have a whinge. So this is actually in Garfield in Melbourne. I'll quickly just look up how far away from the CBD it is because next time we go to Melbourne, if we're nearby, I may actually go get a drink there. So from Melbourne, it's about an hour and a half trip away. So it's past Dandenong, towards Druin and Warragul. So it's a bit of a distance away, but it's the other way from Geelong, basically. We'll try and make the trip.
Yeah.
Good on them, though. They are out. It's in Garfield, Melbourne, past Frankston, through Dandenong, past Berwick, Cranbourne. So it's outside. It's about an hour and a half away. But good on them, and they deserve a lot of praise because they didn't have to do shit, and they did anyway. But guys, that's pretty much all we've got for the news and that sort of stuff. So let's get straight into the preview to wildcard round. Are we a fan yet? Are we starting to get on board, or are we still haters?
Haters.
We're all haters here. Yeah. I agree. I think it shouldn't be needed, but it's going to work. It's going to be exciting. People are going to watch.
It's hilarious, that if this was just like if last week was the last round, the top 8 would have been very different.
Yeah, exactly.
It actually would have been interesting. But because we're having wild card, because St Kilda was shit in round 23, it couldn't win 22 against St Kilda. The last 2 rounds meant nothing because Carlton were there.
Yeah. It literally meant nothing.
It meant nothing. It is like we had this is the same thing we had about the top 8. It's like, it means nothing to anybody. So it meant nothing anyway after round 22.
Exactly.
So
it actually made more sense last year to have not had it either because the top 10 were already established. The teams below them were nowhere near.
Exactly. So we had the same.
And again, that's the same thing that's happened.
And if it was round, but this year we would have actually had a contest for 8 and 9.
Yeah, because the Bulldogs actually jumped the Pies. Would have been a great spectacle. But now we're just looking there like, I guess the Bulldogs have the home game advantage.
Even though
they don't because they play at the MCG against Collingwood.
Yeah.
Anyway. The thing is, it's going to work because people are going to watch it.
Yeah, and they're both in Melbourne, so AFL got what they wanted.
Exactly. They just missed out on Collingwood Carlton, but who cares? Anyway, let's get to the preview. Of course, 2 big games coming up for the beginning of the finals.
Round 25.
Wildcard weekend, teams from 7th to 10th will play off. And of course, Melbourne and Carlton will go up against each other, and the Bulldogs and Collingwood. We're going to start off with Melbourne up against Carlton. Of course, Melbourne, for a lot of the season, sat inside the top 6, but after a bad loss against the Dogs last week, fell into the wildcard position to 7th spot. Honestly, could have been a chance of making it maybe 5th or 6th. but now have to face off in a do-or-die clash against Carlton. And the Blues have been probably the most informed team in the competition right now. Have won pretty much every single game bar 2 since Josh Fraser has been appointed as the interim coach and now is got the full-time position. But let's move into the game itself. And on the injury point of view, Melbourne probably is the only one who has a major concern from last week's matchup, which is Matthew Jefferson. Came off in the game last week after jarring his knee in an awkward landing, did come from the field, so he could be a watch this week. While on Carlton's point of view, we're relatively injury-free after the game against Fremantle last week. Now, Will Hayward will return in wildcard round. They are hoping for that. And Zach Williams could also return to the team, but highly doubtful considering he's missed a lot of this season, being stuck in the VFL. Now, on Melbourne's point of view, players coming off the injury list. Tom McDonald, of course, came off recently. They've got a couple of players in the VFL that Melbourne can pick from. But overall, I think after a pretty tough game last week, there's only one player that I could see coming from the VFL lineup to potentially line up in this team this week, which is Jack Viney. Has played quite a few games in the VFL, coming back from a long-term injury and may return for a big final. So a couple of changes could be coming in for Melbourne. Carlton, I think they'll relatively stay unchanged. But for now, let's get to the players in focus. We're going to be doing it a little bit different this final series. We're going to be taking a look at 3 big matchups to come out from this game. And the first one I'm going to be taking a look at is the forward battle up for the Melbourne Demons. The key forward in Harry Petty up against Harry Dean, of course, has been an absolute brick wall down in defence, Harry Dean, so far this year, especially since Josh Fraser took over as the coach. And I think he deserves the Rising Star Award this year. Has been one of the best defenders, really, in the last 10 weeks. And I think he gets the job on Harrison Petty. In the last 5 games, Petty has kicked 15 goals, has been the informed key forward for the D's. So I think that's a much-watch matchup going into this game. The next one I'm going to be taking a look at is Colton Tholstrup as the tagger up against Jagger Smith. I don't think he can go with the likes of Patrick Cripps. He may go to Sam Walsh, but the reason why I'm picking out Jagger Smith is because his disposals have been high in recent weeks. He's obviously the challenger to Harry Dean for the Rising Star, and I like his scorer involvements as well. So I think if someone goes with him this week, it will be very interesting to see if he can handle the tag. And I think he does give Carlton's midfield a bit of a point of difference. So that's why I'm bringing up that matchup. And then the last one is the ruck battle. Max Gawn up against Mark Pitternet. Now, Pitternet held his own last week against Luke Jackson, but he's going to have to take a step up this week against Max Gawn. Even when they lost last week, the Demons, Gawn still was probably Melbourne's best player by far. And some people will bring up, of course, Cozzy Pickett, but I think Max Gawn is the most important player for the Demons going into this game because Carlton's midfield has been really good the last 6 or 7 weeks. But with that being said, Max Gawn, he will hit it down the throat of his midfielders as much as he can. So I think that is the big matchup in the ruck battle. But for now, let's get to my tip for this first matchup. And I'm going to be going with Melbourne. Yes, they've lost against the Dogs last week at the MCG. And we've been talking about Melbourne's really good record at the MCG this year. They have dropped a couple of games going into the finals. Of course, Geelong about a month ago and then the Dogs last week. But yes, Carlton are the most informed team in the competition. But I think they have knocked off a couple of pretty easy teams. And of course, yes, they knocked off Freo, but they didn't play their best team and they know they locked up top spot. So a win in that game for the Dockers wasn't exactly paramount. So I think Melbourne are going to respond after a poor loss. They've been the most exciting team in the competition this year. I think Stephen King deserves to be the coach of the year just of the resurgence of Melbourne. So I'm going to be picking the Demons in a really tight contest. I think this one will be the pick of the games for the weekend. And the other game, of course, we're going to be taking a look at for Wildcard Weekend is the Dogs up against Collingwood. Now, the Dogs with a surprise win against Melbourne last week, sending their opponents to Wildcard Weekend, while the Dogs jumped into a home position for the finals. But of course, going up against Collingwood at the MCG, not exactly a home ground advantage for them. Now, the Dogs, their recent form isn't great. They've only won 2 of their last 5 games. Of course, losing 2 and then a draw against Carlton only a fortnight ago. While on Collingwood's point of view, their form's kind of dropped off as well. Only 2 wins from their last 5 games. Of course, 2 losses and that draw against Hawthorn. So Collingwood weren't at their best against Brisbane last week. Really got shown a lesson in my eyes. And very interesting to see how Collingwood go up for this one. But even though they finished 9th, I still think this is a Collingwood home game. Now, moving into the injuries for these respective sides. The Dogs, Aaron Norton is the big concern after tweaking his ankle and didn't return to the field against the Demons, while Pendlebury and Maynard will both be ruled out for this matchup, which is massive for Collingwood, of course. Many people bringing up the fact that they maybe should have rested a couple of their players players for their matchup against the Lions, but they didn't, and they still got lost and a couple of injuries. Now, Lipinski could return this week, which would be big for them, and Isaac Quaynor is also a chance, but other than that, looks like there's not really much coming off the injury list for the Pies. While on the Dogs' point of view, the big hope they will have this week is getting back Tim English. Now, they should also get back Tom Liberatore, but Tim English is obviously the big one. They did win against Melbourne last week, but Max Gawn still have a massive performance, and if Darcy Cameron can get on top in this big final, I think that will be a big concern for the Dogs. I just don't think Rory Lobb can really handle it against the likes of the big ruckman. We saw Max Gawn really dominate, so I think that they desperately need Tim English back. But for now, let's look at the players in focus, the big matchups for this game. Of course, we're going to start with the two stars of both these respective sides in Marcus Bontempelli and Nick Dacos. Of course, Nick Dacos has gone to a whole other level this season. He's pretty much destined to win the Brownlow medal, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Marcus Bontempelli does get close. He's had a really good season as well. A little bit always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Last week, he was absolutely brilliant. Dragged his team over the line against the Demons. 27 disposals, kicked 2 goals as well, and was instrumental in the Doggies getting over the line. And if they're going to beat Collingwood this week, he's going to have to do the same. The second matchup I'm going to be taking a look at is another midfield battle between Ed Richards and Jordan De Goey. These guys obviously play the Robin to the Batman role, and I think both these players are going to be massive this week. We know Bontempelli and Nick Dacos are going to play massive games of football, but these two, I think, is going to be the big matchup as to see who wins the midfield battle, because if Ed Richards gets on top, gets the ball inside the forward 50, I think the Dogs can kick a winning score. However, if De Goey can go with Ed Richards and beat him on the other way, I think Collingwood win this game. And the other matchup I'm going to be taking a look at is down Collingwood's forward end. Dan McStay up against James O'Donnell. Of course, McStay, before the game last week, he actually went goalless. He was 12 goals from 4 games. He was one of the highest rated key forwards in the competition, battling up against Charlie and Logan Morris. And of course, last week was a bit of a mulligan for him, but he's been one of the more informed forwards in the game. So I think O'Donnell's going to get the job on him. I don't think it's going to be Buku Kamas. Don't think he's got the matchup for him. So I think it's going to be O'Donnell, and this is going to be a big test for him. He's going up against one of the best key forwards in the game. Last week, Melbourne kicked quite a few goals through their key forwards, and the Doggies have always struggled to keep teams under a respectable score. They did keep Melbourne to 87 last week, but they did also have 27 scoring shots. So if Melbourne kicked straight, could have been a whole different story. But for now, getting to my tip for the second wildcard matchup, and I'm going to be picking Collingwood. I think, honestly, the Dogs, they shouldn't have really got an 8th spot. They got lucky against Melbourne last week, and I just think Collingwood, this is basically a home game for them. I trust them a little bit more, and if Collingwood didn't have that real down slope in the middle part of this year, I honestly think they could have been fighting for a top 6 spot, but they dropped a couple of games, and I think that Collingwood can defend the Dogs better to keep them to a relatively low score, and the Pies should be able to be good enough in this game. So guys, just to reiterate, my tips for wildcard round are Melbourne to beat Carlton by about 2 or 3 goals, and Collingwood to beat the Dogs by about 5 to 6 goals. Now, guys, the final recap of AFL Fantasy for the year, and I left my best round of the year till last, when it really didn't mean much to anything, because I was in no head-to-head league, but it was a wonderful score nonetheless. I scored 2,499. Nearly hit the 2.5K, but didn't get there in the end. So my rank for the round was 3,400 exactly. And the overall rank, I think it was the highest for the whole year, was in the last round. So I really came home with it like a steam train. 5,815 was my final rank for the year. So a lot of positives to go over this round. John Noble, 153. Brilliant. Love that. Josh Dacos, 96. Brought him in the last round, so I'll take that as well. Midfield was just a masterclass, other than one player. But we'll get to the positives. So, Bailey Smith, 159. Could have kept him as captain. I chickened out. I went with Max Gawn's score, but I'm still happy with it. Jordan Dawson with the 107. Errol Goulden with the 135. 104 to Lachie Neale. 100 to Sam Walsh. Of course, took the vice-captaincy of Max Gawn of 148 to 296. Isaac Rankin with the 129. Bradley Hill with the 133. Max Hall in the last round of the season brought him in, 134. Jordan De Goey, 117. And then, because I took the vice-captaincy score of Max Gawn, I picked Fitzgerald's score of 91 as emergency. Absolutely love it. Couple of disappointments. Lachie Whitfield, with the 69. Zorko with the 75. Not great when I brought him in 2 weeks ago. 99 to Will Ashcroft, would have wanted better. 67 to Rowan Marshall. Unfortunately, Takoning just sucks.
Yeah, I know. It just absolutely, yeah. horrible.
I blame Takoning. And then Nick Dacos, there was no point in even playing him. But, I mean, he got 69. So, a couple of disappointing scores. But, I mean, you can't be too disappointed with nearly 2,500. Now, what did you get this week?
2,380, which was ranked about 17,000, just over.
Lucky deal would be in the top 20,000, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. I was like, let's get to the positives. Jace Burgoyne, brilliant pickup that was.
Oh, like, I mean, Zach Butters who?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, you know. Lockie Ash 98, I'll give him that. You know, he's had a few up and down weeks. I'll give him back that one. The same players as you, but I did have Bailey Smith of VC, and I did take that score, which I will, brilliantly.
Yeah.
Noah Anderson 127 and Zach Merritt 123. Who else is there? And Cosy Pickett getting back into form with 95.
You must have had a few disappointing ones there.
Oh yeah, well, even though since you got nearly 2.5K, I got a few disappointments. So let's just go through them. Zorko 75, Whitfield 69, Bowie 72, Wilkie 75, Dacos 69. Caleb Sarong 79, Cameron 88 with Jackson at 97. Now I don't care what you say, but I don't care if you're resting. You might as well not even play for 97.
Yeah, don't play.
Shea Bolton 77, and same with Roland Marshall 67. And because I took the VC score of Bailey Smith, I got 76 from Hulkahan. So I was lucky because I actually had
Fitzgerald.
I didn't have Fitzgerald. I still had Herbert, but because of that score, I didn't take Herbert, and Herbert only got 59. Okay. So that was actually the good thing about that one. But a
couple of those, like the players that you mentioned there that got bad scores throughout the last few weeks, though, a lot of them have gone like good ton. But then unfortunately this week,
that's the thing is that
mediocre 70s.
Like especially Zorko, that's what annoyed me the most is that he's actually scored very well the last month or so, and that's why I got him. And then he pulls out a 75 against Collingwood. I'm like, that was this
was your moment.
That was the moment. I was like,
All right. Let's move to the ladder for our respective leagues. First of all, in the Open League, the premiership was won by Butters My Buns. He made it a bit interesting in the final few rounds. Didn't do great in the last couple of rounds of the year. Only winning the league in the end by 190 points. He had like a 700-point lead halfway through, with 2 rounds to go. But he still got the victory. So, as we mentioned, the winner of all 3 of our leagues this year, our tipping competition, our Open League for AFL Fantasy, and our head-to-head league for our AFL Fantasy, all will be winning a $100 gift voucher to the AFL store. So, guys, just reach out to me on Instagram. Make sure to prove it's you, and we'll give it to you. Now, we all thought throughout the entire season that Butters My Buns was going to be getting 2 gift vouchers for $100. However, the guy who I picked at the start of the finals could be a bit of a smoky. Bont was robbed, pulls out a 2,000... I would have beaten both of them, by the way. He pulled out a 2,471 in the final round of the year because Butters My Bun scored 2,363.
I got better than
that. What happened to Butters My Buns? Just have a look at his squad at the end of in the last round of the season. Had Jarman Impey 59. That's unlucky. Had 59 from Herbert. Had to play him in the team. That's really unlucky. Had Tom Sparrow with the 56. Ooh. Also had both Warner and Heaney. So he did get emergency scores of Cam McDonald with the 101 and Fitzgerald with the 91. So he got okay. He had Wilkie on his bench. I don't really understand why he had Wilkie still. But anyway, could have definitely used a defensive midfielder to chuck in the midfield. But actually decided to go with the Fitzgerald scores. Got very unlucky in the end, and then Bont was robbed all the way from 7th, and he's actually a Bulldog supporter as well. So he pulled out the 2016 Premiership run from the Doggies all the way to win the flag. Well done to him. Head-to-head league winner. Brilliant job from him. Now, let's have a look. Now, also, we have to mention the losers bracket for the head-to-head league as well. Now, no one wins anything for winning this league, and it doesn't really matter because you didn't win it anyway. You got smashed by Delusional Fools, who came all the way from 13th spot to win, and not only that, 2,553. Absolutely massive score.
Well, he would have won, but he would have beaten anyone in the grand final with this one.
He absolutely smashed everyone. Now, interesting to look at his team because he actually had the vice captaincy on Brad Hill. 133 is still a good score. But around the other parts of his team, it was really his forward line that dominated. He had Joe Richards, 101. That's a very good choice. 117 to Jordan De Goey, 95 to Pickett, Bailey with 97, Max Hall with the 134, and then Isaac Rankin with the 129. No one scoring under 95 points. Good good midfield as well. Had 127 to Anderson, and then just all basically good hundreds, except for Will Ashcroft and Nick Dacos. And Will Ashcroft only got 99. Brilliant round from him. Dominated you, and he wins the losers bracket. Doesn't win anything though. Sorry, bro, you don't win anything. Now let's finally look at our open league and see where me and you both finished. So I actually finished in 10th spot. I'm very happy with that. He
Scraped into 10.
Scraped into 10 by 26 points on delusional fools who finished in 11th. So sucked in, bro. I fucking beat you by 26 points. You, scroll a long way down, 31st. Not really that great.
Nah, it's my worst result. I think I've checked in the last 4 years.
Honestly, though, you only lost to me by about 550 points. About 600 points, actually. So you could have done a bit better, but it was the final couple of rounds where I kind of pulled away.
It was the fact
very
that
close for a while.
if I could do my trades that I wanted to do, I think it would have been a very different story. Yeah. But I kept on. But everyone kept on either managing them or slight injuries or suspensions, which was annoying.
In the last 6 or 7, 8, 9 rounds of the year, really after the buys finished, there was always some injury or two every single round that we had to change.
Like on my bench, I still had Herbert. Yeah. I still had
I still
players
had so
like that.
players.
Hulk Kahana, I still had those, and you got to get rid of them. And it's like you fight against the fact is that he's banking more money. It's like you want to keep it because then you can get rid of him for someone better. Like you can upgrade it to such a higher player. But then it's like this player's out. It's like you might as well keep him for another week, and hopefully he gets another 10k, another 20k, and that's what kept annoying me for the last 4 weeks. And somehow I still had Shea Bolton, which I still
every week you told
for
me
the last 4 weeks I tried to get rid of him, and every single time someone else was injured.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we've got for AFL Fantasy for this year, guys. Thank you for joining our leagues as well. It was really fun to watch and talk about every single week on the podcast. Like I said, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll fix you up with a $100 gift voucher if you are the winner, not if you're a fucking dog and you fucking lie. I'm going to make sure to check. All right, and neither of us could win it. Unfortunately,
but I did win one league. But
you did win the tipping league, so you can buy something at the AFL store. I'll give you $50. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. Of course, we're still going to be doing them throughout the finals and throughout the off season for the AFL as well, guys. So make sure to stick around. Big video essay dropping tomorrow on the BR Docos channel, and I will be linking it to the BR Footy channel. So make sure to check that out. It's around the Sydney Swans allegations and pretty much the whole investigation covered by the media so far. So really in-depth video, goes for quite a while, and it shows all the information that is, the truthful, reliable sourced information. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe over on YouTube for the podcast today. Make sure to leave us 5 stars on Spotify as well, because I asked really nicely. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.